this out. All right, I'll kick you on with this and we'll go from there.
Playing hard, playing tough, just playing good. It's not good enough. We're gonna show you what league's all about. If there's a lesson to be learned, we're handing it out. This game is our game. This town is our town.
Good evening and welcome to the Joust. My name is Nagy. I'm here as always with my co-host Liam McNeil. But Jousters, we have a very, very special guest for you tonight. He's a player that's a fan favourite whose form last year saw him represent City in the 2017 City Country Clash. His cult status went beyond the playing field at the beginning of this year by shaving off his iconic locks for the world's greatest shave. He's known by a few names. White Lightning, Fulmine Bianco, as we always called him. But he goes by the Ross Dog. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Nathan Ross.
Hey boys, how are you?
Wonderful, Rossi. Good to have you on the show.
Cheers.
Before we get into anything, Rossi, can I just get you to quickly look at the camera and apologise to my missus for cutting your hair off? She was very upset, mate. She loved the locks.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I did it for a good cause though. So
I know. I told her that, but no, it's not the
They're
same.
coming back. They're coming back.
Good.
How
There you
long-
go, Brittany. They're coming back.
How long was that in the in the works for, as far as doing the shave?
Like 11 to 12 months, like around that region. Yeah. So when it first started to happen, I kind of got the inspiration from I was on social media and flicked past a post and saw it, and then the more I looked into it, I think it's more about blood cancer. So like
Lymphoma, yeah.
lymphoma,
Yeah.
and they go through leukemia and all that type of stuff. So I thought if I could do something so simple as shave my head and help raise some money to try and that could help support a family in need, or I just ever thought that if something ever happened to my kids or someone within my family unit and there's a foundation out there that might be able to help, why not use that kind of status I have right now? Because there's going to come a day where I probably won't be able to do those type of things.
Yeah, it's bloody brilliant. And now trusting Danny Levi with the Clippers. How'd he do? Did he?
He's our resident hairdresser, our resident barber. So when all the boys are faded in, nice and good for the games, it's Danny Levi.
It's all Danny Levi.
Yeah, $10.
Because the boys have been looking sharp this year.
Yeah, $10 a cut.
Oh, so he's making a bit of money out of it.
Actually, I don't know if I can say that.
I was going to say, is that
that's
under
third party?
Is that
the table cash?
Does that go under the cap? How does that work out?
I hope you're getting receipts for them. Maybe you could maybe claim that back on tax, Danny Levi, if you're watching. But it's how much money did you raise for the world's greatest show?
I ended up raising, I think, around the $4,000 mark.
Nice.
So,
Incredible.
That's awesome.
Minus the $10, of course.
Yeah.
That came straight off.
I can't imagine Danny's the
I think
kind of
Danny
guy to
did-
give away freebies.
No, he did it for free.
Oh,
yeah.
good.
So, but he was trying to leave me with a mullet and all type of things. Like halfway through it, he's like, "Can I please leave this dog?" And I was like, "No, mate, just do it properly, please."
I got to ask you also, you're wearing like Liam's got a Knights sort of member's hat on, but you've got a very special Knights hat on. Can you walk us through that one?
Yeah. So I just thought I was coming in here, so I wanted to give like a little bit of background on a few things that's inside the Knights. It's like our baggy red and blue hat. And it's got, I don't know what camera to show to, but yeah, it's got like your debut number on it, and you get given it at the end of season presentation night, and it's something special. So I wear mine to golf days and stuff like that. I think a lot of people kind of just put theirs back in their satchel, but yeah, it's a good bit of gear, and I'll probably pass it on to my kids, and hopefully it goes through my family for a bit.
It's a bloody good golfing hat.
Yeah.
Did it come with, being obviously a spin-off of the baggy green, did it come with a little piece of sandpaper or anything tucked up in there? Was it any sort of,
no ball
take this out
temporary
on the
there.
field with you,
Nah.
see what can happen?
But yeah, it was a pretty special moment when I went up on stage and I got to receive it. Obviously, with one of my best friends, Lachlan Fitzgibbon, he debuted the same game that I did. But yeah, to be up there on stage with a few of the boys and get our baggy red and blues, it's something
That's
special.
amazing. That's not something I'd really thought about with Fitzgibbon coming on. So I guess over the last year or so that he's actually been in the first grade squad for so long, debuting with yourself.
We debuted in the same round down there at Cogra against St. George, and I'm actually ropeable. So he's 2'6'1", and I'm 2'6'2". But I started the game, and he come on for about 8 minutes, but still got a lower debut number than me. And I'm filthy.
Well, I guess Fitzgibbon comes before Ross in the alphabet. Is that it?
That's
got to be
it's alphabetical. That's how they do it.
Look, we've said a lot of things
It's
about the
really
NRL,
changed.
but they need to get rid of the alphabetical listing
Yeah.
system, mate. It's tearing the game apart.
Whoever goes on the field first.
Exactly. Thank you. We're calling it right here. We'll get Todd on the phone. Todd Greenberg, he's a listener of the show. He listens every week. We'll get Todd on the phone. And look, we've been sticking by the alphabet for too long. It's an arbitrary construct. We don't need it. rule the alphabet out, and let it play how it plays.
Go back
It's
to
a
the
restraint.
what's the Greek alphabet? What's that? Can you know anything
Alpha and Omega.
one of
And
the,
then
Beta.
24.
Beta.
Beta was, yeah,
Beta.
yep.
That's one. Alpha, beta.
Phi.
I don't know. I was hoping you guys knew, and you knew some. You knew more than me.
Yeah.
But I got to ask you. Obviously, we just come off of the round 9 clash against the Rabbits at home. Didn't go the way we'd all hoped, but 36-18. But 4 tries to 6. But I'm going to throw it straight back to you, Nathan. What do you feel like? How do you think it all went out there?
Oh, I just feel as if we didn't start very well. To be fair, we kind of gave away penalties, gave away cheap field position, fell off a couple of tackles when we had a chance to defend our first set. We probably weren't quite as good as we could have been, and we let in a couple of early tries, and then fought really, really hard to get back into the arm wrestle and then to get the ascendancy. And then I think we scored three tries straight going into half time, or maybe 3 tries straight coming into half time, and we're over the line there and had an unfortunate event happen, and then they had a 7 tackle set. And I think there's a few statistics out. I'm not much of a statistic guy, but generally teams score off the back of 7 tackle sets because you get a fair bit of field position, and they scored a try there, and you got people like the Burgess brothers and Cody Walker and Adams Reynolds and Gags is there now. They're people you don't need to invite into the game, and kind of we took the foot off the throttle and couldn't get back into it.
That's right, Liam. What were your thoughts on the game?
Well, I thought there was still quite a few positives out of it. It was a great game of rugby league to watch. As a footy fan watching the game, it was really good. Very few errors. I think South completed for 94%. The Knights, we only completed 75, I think. But still, there wasn't a huge number of errors. It wasn't riddled with errors as a game. And that momentum shift in the second half of the first half, you mentioned there, Rossi, the guys looked really good. They looked great. The forwards are working really hard. While it wasn't a great result, there was still, again, positives, which were taking away from all these games, which maybe in the past few years might not have taken any positives out. But there was still plenty to like about the side in this game.
In previous years, we wouldn't have been able to get back into that arm wrestle and get to 12-14, having missed every goal just before first half. So, like I know it's not years past. I think it just shows how far we've come. And we've still got a long way to go, don't get me wrong, but it shows that the recruitment that Darren Mooney and Nathan Brown are doing, and the players that we're bringing into the club are players that want to compete, and we're all players that are striving to, I guess, try and get that premiership again without being too...
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Touch wood and pray to God, boys.
That's exactly right. But obviously, there was a bit talked about through the week regarding the goal kicking. How do you go behind the ball with goal kicking wise? Surely, you're a man of the game. You're a bit of the work, but I'm sure you've got a.
I've actually tossed it up again this week. I'll let Brownie know if he needs me. I'm ready to go. But I think
Brownie does listen to the show, so
Yeah.
he'll be getting it here first.
I think Caelan's going to take the reins again. But look, Kenny's normally a really good goal kicker. If you watch them both at training, they train a fair bit on their strike of the ball, and I don't know what happened on the field the past couple of weeks, but they generally,
It's a tough thing. It's like golf, get the yips and you're done. I've had the yips for about 20 years, so it's a
You're
tough.
born with the yips.
I was born
man.
with the yips. It's a tough thing. It's a tough thing to bring it back because it's all it's all mental. You can have your preparation, and it's all the same. And then things just aren't going right, and you just happen to be doing it in front of 20,000 people live and probably 500,000 on the television.
I think there's a lot of pressure involved in it, but then not just that, you're throwing fatigue. So if you just run 80 meters or even 40 meters, it's quite tiring, and then you've got to go through your process of what you're meant to do to kick a goal, but you might be breathing a little bit heavy, you could be a little bit unfocused, and then it's just that little glimpse.
And I feel like it's been a tough year for Knights kickers, especially with the way KP's playing out on the fringes. A lot of our tries are scored out wide. Now, any kicker worth his salt still going to have trouble from out wide, but he might get a few gimmies in front. But it seems like most of the kicks...
Some people are missing gimmies in front, but
Good point.
Foreign.
Yeah.
Foreign's was terrible. DCE missed one from in front on the weekend.
Yeah.
There's some absolute gems going either side of the post. It's amazing.
I always thought, not being any sort of athletic ability at all, but I always thought there's something about those just off the ones you expected to get. I feel like there's way more pressure on there. Just the expectation, that's going to be 6 points, and then when it's not, it's like I'm sure you'd wear it a bit more. Once from the sideline, if you sink it, you're sort of like, well, that's a bonus,
Yeah.
But ones that are just off center, that you have a huge amount of pressure on you just to make sure that you're converting. And obviously in that game, it showed that how much those points would have meant at the end of the game with possibly another 3 conversions. It's huge.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
But Liam, we like to also give a hats off to a player that we thought did particularly well for round 9. Do you have a hats off for this week, Liam?
I do. And it's one we've given a number of hats off throughout the year. And Rossi, playing on the edges, you must see the impact he has. SKD. He's been great this year. And he had another barnstormer, ran for 216 metres. He's got his 2 tries, 3 line breaks. He was just everywhere. He was working his ass off, as he does. He's been so great at that since he's come to the club. And with the work of himself, yourself, Kenny, we'll talk more about Kenneth a bit later. His hard work out of the red zone was still very good and allowed, when we finally did get a bit of ball, there was some, good work out of the end to get our forwards a bit of a chance up further down the field. So for me, SKD he had another blinder. He's been brilliant this year with a few errors, but we know that.
Yeah,
we love it.
Rocks and diamonds.
It's going to happen, but there's so many more diamonds than rocks coming out of SKD these days. It's just wonderful.
I think that's something he's trying to work on a lot, is the consistency of his carries. I think because he's a bit gangly and he does have a late jink and stuff like that, the running style could potentially affect if people get their hands and stuff in there, but it's something that he is working extremely hard on. But as you see on the weekend, I wouldn't want to change that running style anyway, because he comes off his right and runs 80 metres, and we score off the back of it. So keep doing what you're doing, Skidsy.
Yeah. And he's been doing it since day dot. His first game at the club. He's just been doing really well.
He's a winner. He wants to win, which is good. And they're players you want to play with.
The stats that we've been seeing from our resident statman, the Josh Spiegelman, the Hebrew Hammer, is the Hammer has been showing us all year that it's been so much of the legwork getting out of the red zone has been from the backs, and whether it be it's the centre wing combination getting us out of the tough stuff when we're getting pinned. Yourself included, a lot of the time making well over 100 metres running wise. How does that affect you coming in attacking wise at the other end of the field when you're expected to come up with the chockies as well?
I guess that's just our job. Our forwards do a tremendous amount of work in defence, and we do have big, strong, powerful outside backs. So we want to try and play to our strengths. And if we can go Kenny into myself, into SKD, into Sione, that's pretty gets you on the front foot most of the time. So we try and link up as much as we can and get off the back of each other. And it does mean that our forwards don't have to get back quite as far. So they can kind of have a little bit of breather for those first 4 tackles and then ramp up in D. So
it's like that shift, I guess. So it's like you work for the first 3, and then or the first 2, and then the forwards come back in. You take that breather and sort of prepare yourself more for an attacking bomb or something like that. Is that the
Well, you see, depending on how well that they defend, if you get out around the 40 within the first 2 or 3 carries, and you get back to your position on the field and you want to start playing some football. But there are times where the forwards are buggered because they make 30 to 40 tackles a game. I think I make somewhere between 15 to 20. So it's almost double the workload that they do tackling wise in the middle.
But they don't look as good, Rossi. Coming from playing in the backs myself in my junior years, I've let us down over the last probably half decade. But you'll notice the difference. Nagy grew up playing in the forwards, and
it's aged me. You see.
So that's why I think the onus is on them to make more tackles because they just don't. They haven't got all of this going on.
It's the money maker.
Yeah. Who was your hats off, Nagy?
My hats off, I would give it to Sione. I think, is it Sione or Sione?
Sione. It's his best game of the year for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's been, some commentators as well that have thrown a bit of Sione on the end of it as well. So I thought I'd go with that. But Sione Matausi, I was being probably a bit critical of him playing back in the centres, and that learning curve that he's going through. But you forget again how young he is, you know what I mean? Like he's been around for so long that you start to think, the expectations are quite high, but he's having good games more consistently, and that game especially marking up against GI of all players, possibly a future immortal like in GI in that centre position where he is so dangerous. Defensively he was really strong, and in attack making that break late in the game, just running hard. I think it was great.
I think what a lot of people don't understand in Sione's case as well is that he went from being a centre where you carry a little bit less weight, and then they went through a whole pre-season of putting all this weight on him, so changing his whole body composition, moving into the back row where you've got to have a whole different mindset, that your defensive movements are completely different. You're in at 4-man rather at 2-man, so there's a lot of variables that are happening. You're tackling a lot more middle type people rather than people with feet. And then you come back to this preseason like, oh, actually, Sione, we need you to play back in the centres. So now we need to strip you down weight again. We need to start getting your foot movement back to outside back type of
that more versatile sort of
sequence.
Run, yeah.
So you can't just come up and jam someone as much. You can. There's times that you do go and jam, but there's also times where you got to steady your feet and be able to go both directions. But changing weights and stuff like that does take its toll.
Yeah.
And I don't think a lot of people see that. They just say, oh, he's been moved into the back row and then back out at the centres. They don't see how ridiculously specific rugby league is these days.
I think there's an 8 kilo difference in what he was playing at in the back row to now what he's back at in the centres.
Which is huge, yeah. He would have to really watch the diet, I imagine, come back in this pre-season. Not to mention all the cardio.
He still looks ripped as.
He's only gorgeous. It's amazing. Now, Rossi, you've worn a beautiful hat for the evening. Did you have any hats off from on the field, mate? To anyone who we might not have seen the efforts who just blew it away?
Kalen Ponga again.
Well, yeah, we've got a bit of a rule around here. It's the Pong.
That's the Ponga sound of this.
Every week. It's unbelievable.
And probably the biggest moment that I want to take my hats off to him for is the courageous catch over Angus Crichton.
Yeah.
You know, put his body on the line, come up trumps, eyes on the ball at all times, and then ends up running 40 metres off the back of it. He's a 20-year-old kid with a levelled head, and I just think that sky's the limits for him. Probably the biggest thing that Kalen's doing good at the moment is, even though that he knows he's talented, he works extremely hard, where a lot of people that are talented in any aspect of life, I guess they can lose that desire to continue to work hard, and he's definitely not like that.
Rossi, you've been around the game such a long time, playing, whether it be in Australia and Queensland overseas. Is there someone like a Kalen that you've seen come into the game the way he has injected himself into this side before? Is
not at such a young age. I don't think I've ever seen anyone play as composed or level-headed at a young age as him. I've played with some pretty calm characters before. A guy named John O'Ford that I played with over in France. His demeanour on the field is a lot like Kalen's. It's pretty chilled and nothing really bothers him. But in terms of footwork and vision and speed and skill, no.
It's great to see him as well. Since Piercy's gone down, he's really taken more of a leadership role.
Yeah.
He's stepping up, taking a few of those kicks in general play. We've got him for 4 years.
Yeah, so brilliant. Isn't it
amazing.
Fantastic?
It's wonderful.
We're going to take a quick halftime break, and we're going to come back and discuss very much that Pierce injury and everything else in the Joust. Hang tight, guys.
All right. Now, I got to write down my sack questions.
Yeah. How was that? Was that all right?
Yeah, that was awesome.
All right, so I'm here with Abby and BJ. A very frustrating loss. What did you guys make of the game?
Look, it was a tough game, and I feel like we did well, up into the first half, halfway through the second, until we dropped the ball over the line and the boys lost it. But you know what? It's a tough game, and we can move forward from here.
Watching CO drop the ball was pretty tough. Would you say it was a turning point in the game?
Oh, 100%, but, you know what? It happens.
It does happen. And tell me, were you guys cheering Gagai or booing Gagai tonight?
I'm a Gagai fan, but it's hard to cheer when he's in the opposition team.
It's hard to have those tough feelings, isn't it? You know, if you could go back and change 2 or 3 things, it'd be a different night completely.
I mean, he left the Knights for the right reasons, but it's tough to watch him come back in someone's colours.
Oh, of course, and you know what? You got to do what you got to do, but at the end of the day,
Hey!
Was that a bat?
Yeah. End of the day, Gagai made his choice, but it's okay. We can make our choice not to support him anymore.
Totally. Thank you very much, guys. Cheers.
Thank you.
very much.
Thanks.
Catch ya. Have a good night.
Okay, you recording? I'm here with Ethan. Ethan, what'd you make of the game?
Oh, it's all right. They should have done better next time. But they're top 6 anyway, because who cares? If we win, we win. But I hope the Jets win tomorrow night.
I'm definitely hoping the Jets get a win. Was it a frustrating loss? What'd you make of CO dropping the ball over the line?
Oh, shouldn't do that. Like, they should practice it more and more.
Yeah, but it was definitely a turning point. I mean, did you find it a frustrating game?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. I thought they performed quite well tonight, but yeah, definitely CO losing the ball was a turning point.
Yeah, like Sean Kennedy was pretty good. He's scored 2 tries.
Yeah, he had a big effort.
Yeah,
big
he
effort
did.
tonight with 2 tries, definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time, mate.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
I don't know whether to be excited or terrified for my life. But I'm speaking to Tina. Apparently she's South Sydney till she dies.
Absolutely. Excuse me.
Tina, hey, a great win for your boys.
Absolutely. Well, no doubt. We smash you guys every time we come up here, so there's no different.
Them's fighting words, Tina. Them's fighting words. But I mean, hey, that's just them's the way it goes.
You guys played well, so can't really complain.
Paid the ref.
Oh,
Paid the ref. Apparently the.
Seriously, this clown. Yeah.
Now, what did you make of Dane Gaggai's game? His first game back in the Hunter since heading your way.
Oh, look, he's been playing well. I think he's joined the team quite well. He's slipping in really well there, so he's a good bloke. We like him.
Now, at the Joust, what we like to do is a hats off for someone who's played really well for the Knights and a hats on for someone who didn't play so well. Who would you give your hats off to for the Bunnies? Who played absolutely out of their skin tonight?
Cookie, of course. Damien Cook, hands down.
Is he the New South Wales hooker?
Absolutely. And if he's not, there's issues.
Cook for the hook?
Absolutely.
What about a hats on? Are you willing to give one?
No comment.
Well played. Tina, congratulations.
Thanks, mate.
Good win.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
I'm here with Kane. What did you make of the game? Did you enjoy the game?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
You're a Knights supporter, would you say?
Yeah, a little bit.
So, a bit of a frustrating performance then?
Oh, yeah, a little bit. Bit angry.
Bit angry, yeah. So, were you disappointed to watch the Knights lose tonight?
Well, they played all right, but just didn't get it at the end.
What did you make of CO dropping the ball over the line?
I don't know, it's not good enough, I reckon.
Yeah. It was a frustrating moment, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Thanks for your time, Kane. Cheers.
Thanks. Hey, boy.
Do you want to talk about the game with us?
Yeah, we do.
Yes.
All right.
Come on, boys. Come on. Yeah, jump in.
All right, what's your name, mate?
Carlo.
Carlo?
Get in here. Come on, mate.
And?
Thor.
Is this like
Carlo
Knights
and
Fan
Thor.
TV or?
Oh,
you got the
Joust.
Joust. Fuck yeah, the Joust. We love the Joust. Woo! Big fans.
I hope you were recording that.
Yeah. No, love the Joust.
Carlo and Thor are here. Now, Carlo, I'm guessing if you love the Joust, you're a big Bunnies fan.
No, hang on.
Yeah. Oh, and he zipped up.
Oh, it's
He
a bit
was
chilly. I
oh.
want to tell you to cool down. So I warmed up, sorry.
No, fair enough. All right, there we go. What'd you make it tonight?
Ken CO, enjoy reserve grade next week. As soon as he dropped that ball over the line, the crowd just died. I think everyone's sitting.
Crowd died. Team died.
Everyone's sitting around us. We're just like jumping on their phone, going, "How quickly do I have to get here for the Jets game tomorrow?" So it was that was basically the up and down of it. That was the end of the game.
I can't emphasise this enough. We did not ask these guys to say that. It appears that is the absolute talking point of this evening. So what are the positives to take out of tonight's performance?
Kalen Ponga still looks good. Ponga's still playing well. Sione seemed to be solid. He scored a good try.
Doesn't Sione? Sione has managed to sort of slip off back into the centres, and he's sort of done a solid and quiet job, and no one really noticed that. Yeah, he's the youngest ever kangaroo, and he's, if you'll pardon my French, a fucking gun.
Well, I still think he was dudded for losing the captaincy. I don't understand why he lost the captaincy. I thought he was still doing a good job when we were fucking shit. And I just thought it was a bit hard on him that, we might be actually performing this year, and they sort of like took it off him. And so I still rate him, and I think he does a great job for us. And he's a big unit. Like, he's a massive unit for a centre. So he needs to play himself back into position and or back into the centre position. So yeah, I still think he's one of our most sort of valuable players. So yeah, I'm a big fan.
And what about Lachie Fitz? That kid loves the try line.
Absolute gun. I was actually saying to Thor when he scored, I was like, I reckon Big Lachie is just running around going, I've got to make sure I'm on the outside of Kalen every time he's within the 20 metres with that ball, because that's the way they sort of set up the play. You can tell they don't want to kick and risk the 7 tackle set. So Lachie's just like, if Kalen's within 10, 15 metres of that try line, it's Lachie time. It's my time to shine. So yeah, I'm a massive fan. And do they still do? They don't do City Country anymore.
No, I think it got its last rights last season.
If they were still doing it this year, he'd get a country.
Mate, give him a New South Wales jersey.
I'm done picking New South Wales teams. I'll just be happy if we, I'll pick anyone. I'll support even Roosters players as long as we sort of win a series this year.
Yeah, love him. Yeah, all about him. I don't know. Yeah.
Gents, no worries. Next week, Panthers. We're gonna put him to the sword.
Look, I'm a lot less confident about it after that result than I would have been beforehand. But look, I think you can't concede 12 points off your first 2 sets and then be running around going, oh yeah, we've still got this. Like, at the end of the day, we were 12 points against it, before we'd even sort of touched the ball or, really had any proper possession. Then that 10-point turnaround. You can't just keep saying, oh, get rid of the silly mistakes and then, we'll be all right. Like, those are major turning points that contending teams they just don't concede. So you'd like to think that we'll do a lot better next week, but, we'll see what happens in 7 days.
Well, fingers crossed, eh?
Absolute
Cheers, gents.
pleasure. No, thank you so much.
Thanks, fellas.
Yeah, go the Joust.
All right, I'm here with some Bunny supporters. They comprehensively beat the Knights this evening. What did you make of the game? You obviously like the Bunnies' performance?
Oh, it was unreal. Best game I've ever seen. Best game of the season.
I wouldn't say that, but we won.
Yeah, unreal.
Yeah, we
Go
won.
the Bunnies!
So it wasn't the best game of the season. Like, did you think there was? Obviously, you won by quite a few points, but how'd you like the overall performance, though?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Greg Inglis playing the best games of his season lately.
Okay.
That's about it. That's about it.
Damien Cook.
Yeah, Cook. Oh, Cook's been unreal.
Best season he's had.
Unreal.
Is he going to play for the Blues, do you reckon?
Oh, I hope so. If he plays for the Blues, Blues will win. No doubt.
He won't play for the Blues.
He's playing out of his skin, though. You got Pete's probably injured, so he's probably the next choice.
He's got to be in it. He's got to be in it. You got to be in it to win it, I reckon.
I don't know.
He's got to go the Bunnies! Go the Bunnies!
Look, his speed off the ruck's pretty phenomenal too. He just makes easy meters, doesn't he?
Those scoots are unreal. Scoots are unreal.
The scoots.
Yeah.
That's what he does.
The old scoots. Woo!
So the team played well. What'd you make of Gagai playing against his old club? You guys obviously happy to have Gagai at your club?
Absolutely.
He's been playing a good season. He's been going really good. It's what the Rabbitohs needed.
He's a class player.
He is. The Knights have been going good. I will give it to you, but Rabbitohs are just up stages, up class years, up 1 years.
Yeah, we were outclassed tonight. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Comprehensive win. Thanks, guys.
Too easy.
Cheers.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
Go the Rabbits!
Yeah, you're a Knights supporter?
No.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. What's your name, sorry?
Clive.
Clive?
Yeah.
I'm here with Clive. Clive, what did you make of tonight's game?
Oh, it was a deadly game, eh? But the Rabbitohs. All the best, my darling. Hey, Lily, you're right.
They played well tonight.
Oh, guaranteed.
Yeah,
Rabbitohs, yeah.
Good win.
Oh, it's a good win.
Yeah.
Always a good win.
Yeah, yeah.
It's always a good win to win.
Best of luck for the rest of the season, buddy. Cheers.
So,
Very disappointing. Very disappointing.
what would you say was the most disappointing aspect of the performance?
When that man dropped the ball over the line.
Turning point of the game.
I'm sorry,
So-
but very sad.
Now, the gents at the Joust have been known to have a hats off for someone who performed well, and let's be honest, I think there's always positives to take away. What would you say is your hats off? What was a great performance for the evening?
The try in the corner up here, but I'm not sure who it was.
I think the comeback in the first half, and then they come back from the second half. Unfortunately, dropped the ball, and the game. I think that was a turning point for the game. Yeah, so
I'm devastated to ask, but I might as well. What about hats on? Someone who didn't perform so well. All right. If we take Ken Seo out of it, the man who dropped the ball, apart from him, who do we put our hats?
I'm not going to comment.
I think the team weren't generally there tonight. So I think they need a bit more urgency, and they need to turn up for the game. That's about it.
That's about it.
Okay, I'm here with a Bunnies supporter. Damon, were you happy with the Bunnies' performance tonight?
Yeah, extremely happy, man. Go the Bunnies, eh?
The Knights are a bit off the money tonight. But you happy with the Bunnies' performance overall, though?
Yeah, extremely happy, eh?
Yeah. Who was your standout performer for the Bunnies tonight?
Probably Damien Cook. Yeah.
Do you think he's going to play for the Blues?
Hopefully, yeah.
He's definitely got the form, doesn't he?
Yeah, definitely. He'll get there.
He's pretty quick out of dummy half.
Definitely, yeah. I think he's one of the best in
Yeah.
the NRL. Yeah.
Well, let's hope he gets there. Yeah. Because the Blues need a good hooker.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Thanks very much, mate. Cheers.
Get the sack questions up, and we're good.
All right. Welcome back to the second half of the Joust. Now, we're just chatting about how after this we're probably going to go to the Commonwealth Hotel for maybe a bit of Moorish Mondays.
Bit of Moorish Mondays. Put our footy tips in.
Yeah, as we always do on a Monday. But you're saying you might be going there on a Tuesday?
I'll be going there tomorrow night for dinner. The Commonwealth Hotel does one of the best pub feeds in town, that's for sure. And if you want fine dining, they can do that as well.
How do you go on the tips, Rossi? Are you guys allowed to tip?
We're actually not allowed to tip.
Not allowed to tip. That makes sense, I guess.
It's inside information. We're not allowed to super coach or anything like that. But
But if you were allowed to tip, do you think you'd probably be tipping at the Commonwealth Hotel?
I'd be going to the Commonwealth, yeah, for sure. Connie that works there wanted to get me as like their guest tipper last year, but it got shut down. But want to have a beer, want to watch the footy, you go down the Commonwealth, that's for sure.
Speaking of the Supercoach, you guys obviously can't play it. Is there much talk within the team about who's killing on Supercoach, who's getting price rises? No.
No way.
Not even one player will have a great game. Yeah, boys, got 20 grand on me this week. Never?
No, Brownie would absolutely have our head if we walked in a video and Brownie's like, how do you reckon you went this weekend? Went up 20k.
Wouldn't be a fan.
Nah, he'd be like, yeah, you could go out there.
I think, there you go.
outside.
Anyone talking about Supercoach in the dressing room would probably get 3.5 frowning brownies.
Frowning brownies is annual also rating. It's
3.5 frowning brownies to anyone Supercoaching in the dressing room.
Which is huge, really, as far as the rating system goes. Now, Liam, we have a very special giveaway that we're about to release here. Now, there was talks when we were with Isaac Butterfield. There was talks of how the Henny Penny jersey was many of our favourites, and now we have a Henny Penny Knights jersey that we picked up from the ground, and you could win the Henny Penny Knights jersey, retail price of $130. And
really,
yeah,
that's a bargain. At twice the price, that would still be a bargain.
You can get it for free just with a few clicks, all by subscribing to the Joust on YouTube. That's just hit that button right there, subscribe. So jump on YouTube and click subscribe, and you go into the draw for the Knights jersey. We'll be giving that away in 3 weeks' time.
What was your favourite Knights jersey throughout time, Rossi?
My favourite Knights jersey throughout the time, I'm going to say, and this is probably only because it's sentimental to me, but it was the first Nines jersey that I played in. So that's my favourite.
Was that the diamond one?
No, I was the second year.
Ah, okay.
So it was like...
it had all the...
It was like
parabolas and stuff on it.
I remember,
I love the Nines jersey.
I remember watching that game, and I remember you coming out and playing, and I thought, "Who's this guy?" I hadn't seen you before, and I was just like, like the sort of like the aggressive nature of it all was just like you were there on the ball, and then I think you found some space as well, and I was like, "Where's this guy? Where's this guy come from?" And it was
loitering around in reserve grade for a few years.
But no, it was amazing. I remember I thought, oh, that guy, but then I think it took a while before first grade. You had an injury, didn't you?
No. So they had it. I broke my jaw, but we had a coup and James McManus there. So pretty long serving wingers, and I didn't get my start until Chocky got injured. And then, I got my start on the left wing.
Yeah, I think, but actually, speaking of, I've got to say, going back again before the Rabbits, we played Manly and down at Brookvale. And we have to touch on this because it was such an iconic clash. We obviously just got over with 1 point in round one. And to go down to Brookvale after losing Pearce. And Ellie, do you have some footage for us of yourself when it's locked up? Cherry Evans converts, makes it 12-all.
Isn't it beautiful? I've watched that. That's about my 25th viewing of that since the evening in question.
Can I ask, obviously, with the Pearce injury and coming into that game and then where it was, how did it feel going out there? What was going through your head in that stage?
So at that stage of the game or before the game or coming up to it? Or
walk us through
everything.
Yeah.
So we're lucky enough now to have some experienced players, which let us know that we can't let the whole Mitchell Pearce being injured rest solely on the shoulders of Jack Cogger, and that we all need to share the load as individual players to try and limit the impact. And so we just went out there and we thought, if you played a good game last weekend, add a little bit more to that and help carry the load of what the loss was. And that was a walkthrough. That wasn't. I didn't do anything special there. That was Kalen did a lot of the work.
Kalen did a lot of the work, but a lot more of the work was coming support back home, mate. You've got the try-scoring bracelet from the young one.
Yeah.
And it's put you straight through the gap.
I'm still wearing it.
Listeners, have a look at that.
Week,
That
so,
is the bracelet. Now, which of the young ones whipped that up for you?
So Zaya made it for me, my son. So that's why. So my tries now go from a Z to a W. So Zaya and Willow. But Lachie Fitzgibbon. He every time we go out for breakfast or he comes over or whatever we're doing, he always reminds my son of how many games it had been since I scored a try, and it was reminding Lachie. He's like, "Oh, well, I scored again, Zaya. How good am I going?" And so Zaya ended up scoring 7 tries the week before playing for South, 4 years old in the under-6s, and he's like, "Daddy, why didn't you score 7 tries?" And I was like, "Well, mate, I try to score 7 tries. It's just not quite happening at the moment."
There's a few large, well-paid men preventing you from doing so. It's,
And then I got home from training on a Thursday, and he's like, "Hey, Daddy," and I was like, "Hey, Zai, what's going on, mate?" He's like, "I made you something," and I was like, "What have you made me?" He's like, "I've made you a try-scoring bracelet," and I was like, "That's so nice of you." He goes, "It's going to help you score a try," and it did. So I wear it all the time now, so hopefully I'll get more tries.
So has Brownie and Moon's got Zaya on the radar yet? Have they got him on the payroll? Like, does that come under the cap if we get Zaya making bracelets for all the players? Does that sit under the cap or?
I think a few of the boys have requested them, mate.
Could he possibly chalk out about 17 of them each? And we can really get these tries rolling in. But we noticed that you do the is it the Z to the W?
The Z to the W.
Z to the W. Well, we're thinking because that's obviously your family, but here at the Joust we treat you as sort of our family. So have you thought about maybe doing like a Z to a W to a J?
To a J.
A J would be quite difficult. How would I do it?
Well,
like a fishing hook.
Yeah, like that.
It might be much to ask. It might take some choreography.
You know what, guys? Next time I get a double, I'll throw up a J for the Joust.
Hey,
here we go. We have the official that we look out for the
and
J.
the Joust curse begins again. We've cursed a few people in our time, so you don't want to be making promises, Ross.
I know, yeah. And also, speaking of making promises, we had a guest on a few weeks ago that was talking about the Knights and was talking about how maybe to elevate, how everyone's feeling about the team and really getting people on board. I think we got some footage there. I think from Isaac Butterfield, Elliot.
Rugby League right now is screaming for a Conor McGregor. It's screaming for someone to go out there and just take it by the balls and sell themselves. I'm looking at you, Nathan Ross.
Rossi, so are we.
Wouldn't it be amazing to see Rossi, just for an example, like go on Twitter or Instagram and he's going to go and play against who's a winger from a side that people don't like?
George Tafua.
Imagine if a couple of weeks Newcastle plays Manly and Rossi gets on Twitter and says, "Hey George, I'm going to take your head off." Are you telling me you wouldn't tune in to watch that?
Now, should Rossi go full Conor McGregor? We've heard Ivan Cleary, our next week opponent, talking about everyone has to get on the bus. Do you think Rossi goes out to Tamworth a couple of days early and throws a dolly through the bus window?
Throw something through the bus.
Throw something through the bus window.
Shake them up. Shake them up. Because next time the team's getting on a bus, they're like, "Jesus, Rossi around," and then you're in their head.
If he's going to throw a dolly at us when we're on a bus, we're trying to be protected. Imagine what he's going to do on the field where we're allowed to do anything. It's terrifying. Nathan Ross, this is me calling you out. Get it done.
Right of reply to Rossi.
Yeah, look, I just don't think it's within my nature to kind of do that. I'm more of like the fun-loving. Like I get out there and I'm fierce and stuff. I will try and be fierce, so I don't want to be. But no, like I'm more of like a jokester, laugh about type thing, and I'm pretty sure. I don't know if the NRL will be too happy if I go around throwing dollies. I don't make the same kind of pay packets for the NRL that Conor does for the UFC, but
that's all right. He's still, as far as the Joust is concerned, he's still the baddest man in the NRL. So that's
bad Nathan Ross.
Nathan
We're
Ross.
writing a song. We're currently workshopping it, so we'll have that ready soon.
We're penning it.
Can I get a verse?
Yeah.
Can I come into it?
Sing bad Nathan Ross. Yeah, bad Leroy Brown.
Leroy Brown, but bad Nathan Ross. But we'll show when it's in draft form.
Sweet.
We've got the boys from Narmate working on it as well. But now I've got to ask, especially because there's been so many changes going through this side, and now obviously this year, senior player going through. You're part of the leadership group, and obviously a very successful start of the season with Mitchell Pearce, and losing Pearce long term. You were talking about before, but how does that affect the leadership group? Taking someone like Mitchell Pearce out.
Well, he's still in the leadership group, so he's still there for all the conversations and stuff like that. He's probably taken more of a guidance role for the younger halves at this point in time. So I said it a couple of weeks ago. What has been our curse is turning into our blessing with the fact that we're being able to blood some young talent. So we've got a lot of people playing first grade at a young age that probably wouldn't be entitled to have as many games that they have played, and they've just started to shine because of it. So they're finding themselves in situations on the field where someone their same age might have only played 3 or 4 first grade games would almost go to water or not what to do. But you have a look at our young fellas, they've got 20, 30, 40 games under the belt, and some of them were very tough lessons over the past few years. But these kids that are coming through now, you look at the Safidi boys, Mitch Barnett, Josh King's yet to get a start this year, but once he comes back in, Luke Yates, you've got all these young guys who are battle hardened.
The hitman Yates, as we said from that Tigers game in Tamworth, I tell you what, he's putting some shots on.
Isn't it incredible?
He was, and even players like Sam Stone and
Stoney's another one. Corey Dennis is still down there.
Corey Dennis,
a lot, Nick Maney's a kid to keep an eye out for. He's probably one of the most natural athletes I've ever seen, like in terms of speed, jumps high, he's pretty, he's a good football player. I got like a bit of a man crush on him, but he's someone to keep an eye. He hurt his ankle in round 1 in
round
grade.
13 he's back, is it?
Hopefully even sooner than that, but he's a person that will definitely be pushing the first graders, that's for sure.
And that's it. As a Knights fan who's been watching the last few years, it's easy to forget that so much of the core of this team are still young fellas.
Yeah.
We've grown accustomed to Safidis, Fitzgibbons. We assume they're much older players. They're much more experienced players.
24, 25-year-olds,
it's unbelievable.
Some are 21, Caelan's 20.
I heard on the radio, I was watching the replay today of the South game, and they mentioned that Sione's 21. I'd forgotten that. I thought he was in his mid-20s.
No.
So I think that's the thing for Newcastle fans to remember. These are young blokes, but they've finally got the experienced heads around, like yourself guys who have played a bit more, got a few years in experience that, it's a good time.
It's a great
time to be a Knights fan.
It's a great time to be a Knights fan, especially when you mentioned Josh King there. I thought he had a really solid last, especially the back end of last year. Really started looking like a solid front row first grader. He just has this style about a real good hit, drive, drop, and finds his guts every time. And I think especially after we lost Corbin Sims, I thought he was a perfect player to come in, but obviously with the forward stocks that we currently have with Chris Hyington, as well as Lilliman and the Twin Towers, the Safidi boys. It's obviously it's hard to get a shot in, but when if there was any injuries or when it's his time, as you said, it's going to be exciting to watch.
But what it does do now is it creates competition within the playing group. So if someone's having 3 or 4 bad games, then bang, your spot's gone. You're not in first grade anymore because you've got someone who can deliver in reserve grade. So if they're playing good games in reserve grade, then that's their right to step up. And so we know now that if you've been around, you might be entitled to one off game. Like every 6 or 8 weeks, you might be entitled to one. But if you multiply them on the back of each other, there's got a lot of talent in reserve grade ready to step up.
Which is a great feeling to have depth at the club. Now, you mentioned Chris Hyington. Is he legally adopted Connor Watson and Brock Lamb? I've noticed they refer to him as dad a bit. Is that all above board or just...
I think he's adopted the 3 of them.
Oh,
they call him
so
dad, he
sweet.
calls him son.
It's good to see fathers and sons getting along playing NRL together.
How's he got? I didn't think when I saw Chris Hyington sign with the club, and obviously I've been a fan of Chris Hyington for a long time. But I thought the man's I thought he was 42 years old. He's played 600 first grade games for about 7 different clubs, and I thought I didn't think he'd see much first grade time. But I tell you what, I've been really pleasantly surprised with his form.
It comes on and he adds enthusiasm, and what you will find if you watch the game extremely closely is that once Chris gets on the field, other forwards start moving around him, and it's because he talks to them. So he'll get the ball in his hand and he'll be like, mate, I need you to push outside B defender, or someone pull on my inside here, or the half out the back, I'm going to come and I'm going to pass it. So he talks to people, and these are valuable lessons that our young forwards are starting to learn now. If they can pick up some good traits like that, it's fantastic for the progression of our club and the way we're going.
Who have you seen the biggest change from? Who's obviously been with the club for a few years, and we're obviously struggling. We're battling for every win. And who do you reckon's had the biggest influence? You could give a forward and a back, or anyone in particular.
In terms of what brought in, or the biggest change in player, or
who do you, or both? Who are you most surprised by when you sort of seen them as a player? Obviously, a big fan of the game yourself, but then seeing them come in and go, I didn't expect that from him.
Probably Hino.
Chris Hyington,
Hino in terms of influence
Yeah.
on other players, and his positive attitude. As you said, he's played like 330 first grade games, won 2 grand finals. So he's done a lot, but still to have the enthusiasm and the love that he has for the game. And then in terms of players that I think have come leaps and bounds, you can't go past Fitz. He's got to be in the origin conversation for mine.
Absolutely, without a shadow of a doubt.
I think if you compare like someone like someone in his form, I think 5 tries this year. Is that something? Is that about 5 that Fitz has scored?
5 from 8 sounds right.
Ask Zai will tell you.
Zai will tell, yeah.
Zai's got
He's got his stash of bracelets made up to give to Fitz at the end of the year.
He must give Lockie all the good ones. He gives me the duds.
But like obviously he's scoring, like everyone's saying that the Ponga and Fitz combination, but he was scoring tries before Ponga was even on the scene. Like he came in last year.
I think he scored 8 in the last 7 games.
Yeah,
he did. It was amazing.
It's crazy to watch, and that's I tell you what, Lockie Fitz. We've always spoke about him fondly, but I tell you what, he's for a player that was around that first grade side for a while, and then saw him play a lot of first grade minutes, and then I think a lot of people might have written him off, but really nurturing that into like now a really dominant part of that side. Do you find the same? Like,
it's more his work. He's always been a very strong offensive player. I think it's the work that he's doing off the ball now. He's hit and stick in defence. I think you saw he whacked one of the Burgesses off the kickoff on the weekend.
Did him and Sione pounded George Burgess.
Yeah, and like George Burgess doesn't get shot off the kickoff. He's a large human, so for them to do that. I think, so it's his work off the ball and his focus on defence.
Which is amazing for a young guy, because that was, you could kind of see a bit of a weakness in his defensive game last year, and this year it's just so obvious that he's worked his ass off in the off-season.
Yeah, exactly.
He's really built on his defence, and he's killing it out on the edges there.
It's showing. Hey, Liam, do you have the time?
Time for the news, Nagy.
Yes, the news now, Liam. There was a few things that went on this week. Obviously Cameron Smith got punched right in the
fellas,
right in the batteries. I was also wondering because you got punched in the fellas, you went down, and Saints scored. Who was the try scorer?
McInnes. Cameron McInnes.
Cameron McInnes scored it right off. Has that been a ploy that maybe we've considered? Does that happen a lot? Like if you get
if it works, why not try it?
Well,
next time I get tackled near the line, I'll just.
Isn't it amazing? It's taken 350 odd games and finally found out Cameron Smith's weakness, his testicles. Just put one on the clangers.
It is crazy to think that the guys, pushing 35, doesn't seem to be any chinks in the armour, but someone found it.
They found it. But that's, you never really consider that watching professional rugby league. I remember, playing lower grade rugby and you get hit in the nuts. You're like, I'm done for the day. I'm going to the pub.
I'm down.
But you're getting paid an enormous amount of money. You've got to get up and then rally. Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah.
On the first grade field?
I've had my nuts grabbed. Like when you sidestep someone and they stick an arm out, and they're not polite enough just to be like, oh, okay, you can break my tackle. They really squeeze the jewel. So you generally got like a second. You got a second or two, but once it hits, it hits.
And then how do you recover?
It's a builder, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Actually, I noticed you went down. There was early in the game. There was a bit of in the Rabbits game. A bit of an ankle. You limping around for a while. Is everything all right?
Yeah. So I just went to spin out of Adam Reynolds' tackle, and he kind of held onto my my shin, around my shin region.
Yeah.
And my studs were in the ground. I've just kind of over rotated and just jarred my ankle up a bit, but
nothing serious.
Nah, no dramas here.
That's good. Thank God.
That's good to see. Also, we noticed that Dean Pay got fined $25,000 for some comments about
slagging the referees.
And it's obviously it's they put this in. Everyone knows about it, that you can't be in the post match review talking smack about the officials during the game, but $25,000. Do you know? I got to ask. Now we have someone from the club. Do they pay that? Is that a personal?
I was just about
thing?
to say, like, I don't know whether he's got to pay it or
is it the club paying it?
The club's got to pay it, but I don't know. Like, I'd love to see one day a referees do a press conference, or even sit in with the coaches, and then they can actually give their insight behind the decisions, because refs get a lot of flack, because at the end of the day, if your team loses, it's a ref's fault. Like if you're a fan, basically, you know what I mean? Very rarely do they come out and say, oh, the better team won. But I'd love to see the refs sit down and be like, well, you know why I made this decision? Because I interpreted it this way, and I'm a professional. Like I'm a referee. I'm a professional. I get trained to do my job, and I've interpreted it this way, and that's why it is like that. So I'd love to see that one day, and then just come out and then back their decisions. Rather than then they get hidden away, and then there's all this speculation about all these other reasons. I'd love to see them just come out and be like, well, it's kind of what happened, and this is the way I saw it.
Yeah, because the players and the coaches, they get so much room to justify their decisions. They get interviews, they get press conferences, they get media releases, but the referees don't really have the right of reply, which I think leads to a lot of victimization of the referees, because people are like, well, they're this kind of unseen force. They're just the men who are there in the middle with the whistle who are annoying.
You only ever hear from the ref's boss. You know what I mean? Like, they never actually talk to the referee, and I'm sure, like, if they did make a mistake, they're men enough to say, you know what, guys, I got that wrong, but no one's perfect, or they'll be like, I still stand by my decision. But I just think it would be good to have a platform for them to almost stick up for themselves sometimes, you know?
Because they're just punching bags.
As Jeff Tuvey said, there just has to be a bit of accountability.
Has to be an investigation
into this. You know, it's
because like Nagy and I were big fans of the refereeing crackdown earlier on in the year. I think they made some changes that they needed to make that had needed to have been made for the last few years.
How much have we seen in the bin this season?
Yeah, the offside one's a good one for mine. People get like leaving the try line early. That's something that
they've really focused on.
Yeah.
Do you get an insight on that when there's a big ref change? Is like, we're going to be focusing on, let's say, the play the ball this year was that? Do you get any sort of like, all right, guys, play the ball this year is going to be really tight?
They come out and they meet with the playing groups throughout the year. So I think we had Henry Perenara.
He makes a great sauce.
Makes a great sauce.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Henry Perenara sauce. Yeah,
it's delicious. It's beautiful.
We'll fill you in later.
So he came out and had a couple of hours, and he was great. You know, he explained, and then he refed out semi-opposed sessions like scrimmages as if the game was on. So if someone was offside, he'd look, bang, that's it. If someone played the ball wrong, bang, that's it. You know, there's a lot of
like you have like a mock game, and then like
with refs and stuff like that. So the players are very aware of the changes that are going on before, but players will always try and push the envelope.
And it seemed to be the case that and early in the season we had the crackdown, and then the penalties eased off, and you had the old traditional people who were always saying the referees are wrong. Like, well, finally the referees have eased up. But to watch the game, it's, well, no, the players and the coaches have amended the way they were playing and are now going with the new system, which I thought was wonderful. But everyone else, well, not everyone else, but a lot of other people just came out and said, well, yeah, see, the refs were wrong. They're going back to the old ways. When in reality, the way I saw it, it was more that the players and the coaches, spent the time to get the players, doing the right thing. And that's why the crackdown has come down, because the rules are being abided to more.
Yeah.
Whereas you've still got those fans who are still blaming the refs, saying, yeah, well, they were wrong initially.
It's more to the letter of the law, I think we're finding this season. Has this been the biggest change this season, you think, with the ref crackdowns, or is this the same every year for different things?
Oh, I think I think sometimes they're trying to make a perfect game out of an imperfect game. You know what I mean? Like there's rules and there's in place for all types of things, but sometimes you just want to see football get played.
Yeah. Well, it's this thing like every year with Origin, you have that sort of like, especially game one, it seems to be this sort of penalty-free zone for about 15 minutes, and it's like, that's great footy. And then we've got the games like 4 weeks ago with the Sharks Melbourne game.
Worst game of rugby league I've seen in my goddamn life. I've ranted enough about it. I shan't say a word.
But it was just, it just blew the pee out of the whistle, and the players didn't, change, and you just kept playing the penalties. But it's like, it's entertainment in the end. Like you're doing it for hundreds of thousands of people. And just to ruin the product, it's such a disappointing thing.
To be fair, some of the refs, they give you warnings on the run. So if they're minor offences, they'll be like, mate,
easy, watch that.
Make sure you're onside the next play. So if they went the other way, they'll be like, look, make sure you're onside the next play, or that's it. So they do their best in terms of trying to let the players know what's going on, and there's a good vocab there, but people are always going to try and push the envelope, that's for sure.
Don't they what?
Are you on the first name? I've got to ask about a player. Are you on a first name basis with the referees?
I call them all sir.
No, but like, do they call you Rossi off him, or are they number 4?
Yeah, no. So they're good like that. So they'll be like, yeah, Nathan, hands out now.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is impressive, because half the commentators in the game can't get the players' names right. The referees are out running around and getting it right. That's impressive.
I was watching the Titans game the other day, and they're calling Jared Wallace Joy Arrow for half the game of footy. Jared Wallace was off injured. Joy Arrow was off injured. They're like, and Joy Arrow's up again. It's like,
you weren't watching Channel 9, were you, Rossi?
Oh, I'm not comment.
Oh, God. No comment.
No, but Liam, I think it's time. We've heard enough from us. I think it's time to hear from the people, and let's open your sack. Here's one more. There it is.
All right, big sack this week, guys. You'll have to forgive me. I didn't write them down because there was too much going on. It was a huge sack. It's brilliant. So I've got them here on the phone. Now, first question. Oh, not Mickey O'Brien. Sorry. Actually, Mickey O'Brien put this to the wrong page, but I'm going to read it out anyway.
What?
if players get put on report / suspended, should referees lose a percentage of their match fee for these costly and ridiculous blunders that are now costing teams games? Because whatever they do...
So
actually, Mickey, I disagree. I think if players are put on report or suspended, they probably did something to warrant that.
Well, it's
and
a
the
review
referee.
system, and there's a few systems in place. Mickey, get your question right before you post it in.
Right page next time, please, Mickey. Next one is from Marcus James Harborn.
Yeah.
Marcus asked, should we make a play for Todd Carney?
Okay, so you think, Ross, I'm going to throw it straight to you. You know, obviously Todd Carney, he's been in the game for 10 plus years. He's on, he's at that end of his career. He severed ties with the NRL. He's come back to the NRL. He's around that circle again. Pierce is out for at least another 10-ish weeks. What do you think? You see that we need someone to buy in, or do you think?
I think Todd's a terrific player. He's a Dally M medalist winner. But for where we're at the moment and for where the club's going, I just think that he might not be... we do have a lot of mentor roles for our halves at this point in time. Like with Piercy being injured, he's mentoring. We've got Connor Watson, you got Jack Cogger there, Brock Lamb's still around, Jack Johns is at Newcastle. We've got a couple of young fellas coming through, so we do have a lot of young stocks in that department. But I do think that he should be playing back in the NRL somewhere.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think he'd be an emergency signing, bit of a knee-jerk signing, which Brownie's shown through him and Moon's recruitment. They don't do knee-jerk signings. They sign someone for a purpose, looking forward long-term. They don't sign someone, we need a half for the next half dozen games. And we already have 3.
Yeah, no Band-Aids.
No Band-Aids for bullet wounds.
Yeah, there's too much Band-Aids put on in the past.
Yeah. Exactly,
So we've had to rip them all off and get back to...
And we're now hairless, just messes of...
Just tearing them all off.
Yeah.
Just one motion, right off.
Now, K. William Wilson, if it was a season-defining situation, for example, final game of the season, last set of the match, and we need to defuse a crossfield bomb by the opposing halfback to hold on to the lead, would you prefer to have SKD or Aquila the Thriller underneath it?
SKD.
SKD? You think
Every day of the week.
I think I have to go SKD as well. Aku gave so much to this side, and I loved for it. And had so many powerful years. Didn't leave the club in the best terms, but at the same time, he's he's a great runner. He's a great runner, but there's always going to be that question under the high ball with him. But SKD, I think, is proven. Proven, tried and tested, I think, under that high ball.
Height's a big one for me as well. So we've got chasers coming through.
Well, so many factors going on.
Skids is going to out-jump most people.
He's a huge man.
Yeah.
Isn't he?
He just needs to stand like that.
Yeah.
That's why
I never realised how big he was until he moved to Newcastle, and I saw him getting around town. I was like,
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God, it's John Kenny Dow.
I was
He's
a bit
really
like
tall.
I was a bit like Aiden Guerra. I saw him walking through the Junction Coles. I was like, Jesus Christ.
They're big boys.
Yeah. What does television do? How does that work? They make them appear short, normal size. I don't get it. It's magic.
It's just something they got in the Roosters water out there. Something in Bondi.
Something in the lattes, probably.
They actually like the coffees up here more.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, of
all the
course.
Roosters boys enjoy the Newcastle lifestyle a lot better than
It's
Sydney.
Newcastle. We've got the greatest cafe culture in the world.
They're only human.
Yeah. They like everything about Newcastle.
Yeah.
Lincoln Ison, good friend of the show, asks, with Jesse Ramian and Tau Moga on the roster next season, do we re-sign? And if so, where do we place Sione Mataudia with Guerra and Fitzgibbon playing very, very well in the second row? Don't see him being an improvement over those two. So what do we do with Sione?
I think you got to the way he's playing at the moment, especially in that South game. Let him play for the position. There's nothing to say that Tau Moga is a better centre than him. And I think especially it's that competition that Rossi was talking about before. I think you let the boys compete for those positions. He has that experience in the back row, and could you see Sione coming back off the bench maybe as a or do you think centre's going to be his home?
I think I really think when I first came through, Sione was my centre.
Yep.
When I was playing on the left wing, Sione was the left centre. So I think he's a great centre. He's just got to, he's starting to find his form again back out there. You can't, like I said, the transition from centre to back row back to centre, there's a lot of learning that goes on and a lot of body composition that changes, and just getting yourself mentally right for these type of things, and the amount of Ks you covers differently and all those type of things. But let the boys fight it out, and the best team gets picked.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's what we like.
That's what you want. You want competition in your club.
You want competition, and and everything rises to the top. And there's always going to be injuries too. You know what I mean? I don't think anyone at the start of the season could see Jack Hogger with the starting side that we had playing 10+ games. But that in reality, that's how many games he's probably going to be playing. So it's you need that depth.
Yeah, 100%.
In all the positions. One more question from the sack.
One more question from Nick Turner over there in Papua New Guinea. Should the NRL move away from becoming a nanny state and give the players and coaches free reign to say whatever's on their mind? Clearly, Nathan, as the baddest man in the NRL, and without fears of being fined in post-match press conferences. Surely, as fans of the game, this honesty is something we all love to see. And as a governing body, the NRL should not see it as dissent and instead look at it as being constructive criticism.
Nathan, what do you think?
Yeah, I'd love that. I'd love for us to come out and freely speak about the game. Obviously, within reasons. I don't think people should come out and say, like, F this, F that, this person's a dog and stuff like that. But people should say how they feel about the game because it's emotional. We're emotionally invested to everything here, and I think that being able to say what we feel makes us relatable to everyone else. We shouldn't have to be robots and said that you've got to speak within these guidelines. Like, I'd love to come out and say, you know what, that's really disappointing that happened. Or I think that was great that such and such has done this. But it shows that we're human beings and it makes us relatable.
And do you think the media's played a large part in this? Because the media this year and last year seem to be whinging about, the players won't talk to us. And it's kind of if you didn't make the players out to look so bad whenever they express anything other than the line that's fed to them from the club,
looking for that
they would be
soundbite,
happy to talk to you. Do you think the media's kind of forced players to avoid saying anything like that for fear of just being torn to shreds in a shithouse paper like the Daily Telegraph?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but a lot of people are too cliche. Like, whenever I do my interviews, I try and be organic and just have a laugh and have fun with it because at the end of the day, we're human beings and we're playing a game that everyone loves, not just the supporters love, but we love doing it as well. And you'll find most of us at home on the Friday, the Saturday, or the Sunday night watching other games of football. So we're just as into it as everyone else. And I think making us, I keep on going back to it, but as relatable as possible, I think could only improve the game.
Absolutely.
I can't agree more. And I can't thank you both enough for being here. We're running very, very short on time. We've gone well over because we're just having so much fun here tonight. Liam, thank you very much for joining me tonight. Rossi, we can't thank you enough.
Thanks, Liam.
Yeah, we've got to have you back on again. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you, Justice. If you like us, look out for us on Facebook, YouTube now. Don't remember to subscribe. Hit that button. As well as jump in to get the jersey thing. Yeah, and Instagram, Twitter, all the pipes, all the social pipes.
Every pipe in town.
Every pipe. And also we might have a very special announcement later in the week, but keep your eyes out for that. Thank you very much, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Cheers, Rossi.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
Excellent work.
Thanks, gents.
That was brilliant, man. Yeah, that was fucking awesome.
I can fucking talk for hours, eh?